What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Anora.
Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
don't.
my number 1.
Yeah, I knew it.
Wow. Well, because I've
I was
seen
right. I was right. Yeah, you've
Anora.
seen it, so you like it more than me.
Yeah, well, because you don't know how much
It's
you
how
like
it
it yet.
works.
Okay, you go.
All right. Neon has won the Palme d'Or the last 5 times now. And if we take Anora out of it and we just focus on those last 4, 3 of them were nominated for Best Picture. All 3 of them were nominated for Best Director. And the one that was not an ensemble was nominated for Best Actress. The stats don't lie.
All those films were international films. This is an American movie. For what
America
we are talking
does
about
like America.
is an American award show that has
That's
very
true.
much shown bias towards American films because in its history, only one international film has won Best Picture, that being Parasite, which was a Neon Palme d'Or winner. And ever since Parasite, all these Neon Palme d'Or films, minus Titan, have been doing really well.
Yeah.
Despite all being international films. But now we have an American Neon Palme d'Or winner. So I just think that that's going to multiply the just impact of this film. We also just don't have something like an Oppenheimer this year or an Everything Everywhere. We just don't have that kind of film that's going to really sweep everybody off their feet and make them bow down and give them every single award known to man.
Yes.
So I think that helps a movie like Anora that's a little smaller. Also, Mikey Madison is amazing. Sean Baker is amazing. Some really good supporting performances here. I think that this film could do incredible.
Lock this in for a Best Picture nomination for director, screenplay, actress, and potentially a win or 2 or 3 or 4 out of those.
Yeah, I think that this could be a big winner come Oscar night.
The only thing I think holding it back from a higher placement is outside of these big categories, I don't think it's particularly strong, like in the texts. I don't know.
I think it could get an editing.
I think it could get an editing. It's really going to depend on just how much passion for it there. Like, if it's the front runner for picture, definitely throw it a couple more, just because like that's how that works.
Mm-hmm. I think just like particularly with editing, you'll see like Tar got an editing nomination.
That's true.
Sure. So you'll see these more quaintly edited films get editing nominations, and I think that Anora fits that bill. Also, I think maybe it could get like, I don't know, a sound, probably not a sound,
maybe
a costume potentially. I think that one could fit. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You've seen it, so you're biased, but I also haven't seen it, so I'm in my own way kind of biased against it. So who knows?
Who knows? All right, well, we're going to move on to my number 3, Dune Part 2.
Ooh.
Where do you have this?
This is my number 1.
Oh, is this your film that you don't think will win Best Picture?
Yeah. And the reason I have it at number 1 despite that is when you approached me with this idea, it was less a Best Picture ranking and more just like ranking Oscar contenders in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel more confident in it as a contender than our collective number 2. But like you can talk about why it's not going to win Best Picture.
Because it's the middle movie in a trilogy.
Yeah.
It's sadly cursed with Lord of the Rings 2 Towers syndrome, cursed with the syndrome of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And that's also like, that is really why I don't have it higher than number 3. I'm worried about something like what happened to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse happening to this film, where people see it and people are like, oh my God, this is the best movie I've ever seen. But then come Oscar time, it's like, well, we know a third movie is coming out. And then they don't honor this middle one as much as they will ideally honor the third one. And after we saw that happen with like a Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, I'm kind of assuming that that's going to be what happens with Dune Messiah, with, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I was forgetting for a second, so that is why I have it a little lower, because I wouldn't be surprised if Denis got snubbed again. I wouldn't be. I don't think he will.
That's not happening.
That's
not happening. I'm sorry. That is not happening. The floor for Dune 2 is the first Dune. because there is so much more passion for Dune 2 than the first Dune had. First Dune had 6 wins. Yeah, 6 wins.
Mhm.
And then, like, I think, was it 10 nominations or more?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Then if you're saying that the floor for Dune 2 is Dune 1, then you are saying that there's a chance that Denis does not get a director nomination.
But I think the ceiling is way higher. And
I agree. What I'm saying is the floor.
I'm going to fight you on this. Because despite the fact that I don't think it's winning, which, by the way, like, I understand the whole not giving it to the second movie when we know there's a third movie, but also Lord of the Rings and Across the Spider-Verse, we knew when they came out that there was a third movie. Dune Messiah wasn't technically announced until after Dune 2 was released. And I also just, like, it's horrible, because what if Dune Messiah isn't as good as Dune 2? It's going to be very hard to be as good as Dune 2. And I don't want, like, the third movie in a trilogy to get screwed by that. Because also, like, I don't know. Dune 2 train, what up?
Listen, I want Dune 2 to do well. I'm not trying to say that I don't. I'm just saying that I do see possibilities for it to not do as well as we want it to. This is still my second favorite movie of the year.
Yes, I agree with you. But given that it's going to be a Best Picture nominee, I think it's going to be a Best Director nominee, I think adapted screenplay, I think score, I think editing, I think visual effects, it's winning, I think cinematography, it's winning, sound, production design, costumes, maybe even makeup and hair. You cannot deny this juggernaut of an Academy player that Dune 2 is. You cannot.
No, it is a juggernaut, which is why we both have it so high.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's talk about Sing Sing.
We need to talk about Sing Sing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our collective number 2.
Yeah. It has an uphill battle because it is, we talked about this last time, it is coming out kind of in like that past lives type time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And while Past Lives had to contend with Barbenheimer, Sing Sing does not. Dune 2 is already out, which is, I think, like the biggest comparison to Barbenheimer that we would have this year.
Yeah.
It's really just gonna depend on how much passion there is, because this is a crowd pleaser. This is a nice, like, feel good movie. I think Coleman Domingo is my number 1 for actor right now. I think this is probably winning adapted screenplay as it stands. I would throw Clarence Macklin in for supporting actor. I think it's just gonna hit enough. It could be like a Holdovers type thing where, like, there's a really strong lead actor, everybody loves it, the screenplay's awesome, but it just doesn't have the juice to, like, boost it ahead of something like Anora or Dune or whatever. But I think it has a very strong chance at Best Picture. I think Dune 2 has something working against it, and I don't know if Anora is so strong that you can lock it in above it. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. My other caveat, though, to not necessarily comparing it to Past Lives from last year is that last year A24 also had 2 films that they were pushing for the Oscars, Past Lives and Zone of Interest. This year, like, Sing Sing is A24's Oscar movie.
Yeah.
They're putting all their eggs into this basket, it really seems like. Unless last minute they really try to push like Parthenope or something. But I think like Cannes kind of showed that Parthenope is just not in the cards for A24. So I think A24 is going to put everything into Sing Sing. And because of that, I think that just helps. You know, A24 has been a huge Oscar studio.
Yeah.
Ever since like Moonlight. So
right.
I just think that alone is really helpful. Coleman Domingo, just all the buzz. You know, it's something that we've been talking about since TIFF, essentially, like TIFF last year. And it still hasn't even come out yet. It comes out in July. So if we've already been talking about it since like October or September when TIFF was going on, why won't we still keep talking about it and buzzing about it after its release?
Because it just might be too long. That's the worry for me, is like it's been on my radar so much longer than a lot of these other movies, even the like some of the big blockbusters. It's such a small movie, that I feel like it is going to be really hard for it to maintain that level of conversation all the way until the Oscars. Could it happen? Yes.
Mhm.
but I feel like the odds are stacked against it. I would like to be proven wrong. I've heard amazing things. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
love it.
My other thing is that last year we saw the Oscars enjoy films that sort of feature writers, American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah,
This is a film that sort of features actors and highlights
actors,
actors in a prison. That's what this is all about. So I think that could really help with a SAG ensemble. And SAG ensemble is
totally.
one of the big precursors to Best Picture. So if
Yeah,
this can do really well with the SAG ensemble, Best Actor, Coleman Domingo, maybe some supporting characters in here, I think that that could be a huge push for this film. Anyways, I think we should
I
get
feel better
going.
about Coleman Domingo winning actor than I think I do any other major category right
Me
now.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the one issue is Daniel Craig with Coleman Domingo, but I do think that Coleman Domingo has the path of Rust nomination, Sing Sing win.
yeah.
Yeah.